David Boland from Racing's Inside Track TV, and today I'm joined by Pat Keogh, CEO of Leopardstown and now newly appointed to the Curragh Racecourse. How are things, Pat?
Oh, very good. And yourself?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me here this morning. I know you're a busy man. Champions Weekend is 2 weeks away now, and a lot of work being done here at Leopardstown, as we can see. Tell us a little bit about plans going forward and where you plan to be in 2 weeks' time for Champions Weekend with the redevelopment.
Well, the redevelopment has been done over about a 5-year period here in Leopardstown, and we did it in phases. That was one of the great advantages doing that, was that we continued. You continued to race with very little interruption to the clients right throughout that phase, throughout that period. So by Champions Weekend, we'll have a couple of new things for the customers to see, and the work that's still continuing to go on, and the big phases which we will get at Christmas time and for the Dublin Racing Festival next year. They're really behind. They're in areas that the customer would not normally have accessed, so there'll be very little disruption. We'll have new bits. So we've done a fair bit in this phase that people will see. So I think they're going to see they'll get a nice surprise when they come to Leopardstown for the Longitude Champions Weekend. And
then obviously then you'll like to have a lot more done then when it comes to Christmas then, and you look to be finished then hopefully in the spring of 2020.
Yeah, the next phase then will be the introduction of the racing hall, which we will have for the Leopardstown Christmas Festival, and that's what was formerly the Club 92 space. That's going to be a big addition. It'll accommodate about 1,200 people. Brand new space. It'll be a combination of food, beverage, and betting within that. And it'll be very popular, particularly on the colder national hunt days. And then the whole area under that area of the grandstand was probably, the least attractive part of Leopardstown, and I think it'll actually turn it into being one of our strongest points. That's exciting. And then for the Dublin Racing Festival next year, we'll have the new weighing room. And what that does then, it takes, we will put all the services into that. So that's the weighing room, the press, the guards, the ambulance, everything goes into that. And that frees up space within the main grandstand, where space is at a premium. And then what we will do then after that is we will redo all that space into new customer facilities. So that'll be more additional new space. And what we have planned for there is really exciting. I think that's, of all the things we're doing, that's one of the things that I'm most looking forward to seeing, is the area where the weighing room and stewards is at the moment. That's a big area and it's right in the very heart. So that will open up into a lounge area, really, wine, coffee area, and I see that has been particularly attractive to, say, the non-hardened racegoer. So someone that meets a friend, wants to sit down and have a cup of coffee and a chat for an hour. That's where I see them, and we don't cater for them really well in race courses generally. We're good at catering for the avid racegoer who wants to see the race and wants to see the horse or whatever, but there's loads of people come along. My own wife, when we go racing, Anne and I go racing together, if she meets someone interesting, she'd love to sit down and have a chat, and there's a lot of people like that, and we'll deliver that, and that's a very important demographic for us, particularly in an area like this, where you have people who follow all sports and socialites and all that. People just like to come and sit down and have a chat, so that'll be nice. The other really exciting bit then will be the children's area, which will be delivered in the spring of next year. And we haven't done that, we just haven't done it. We've put temporary facilities in for children on Family Day and for some of the bigger days, but this will be for every day. And if you think about it at the moment, without having facilities for children, young families can't go racing. So they have to find a babysitter or someone to mind their children, and either then one of them goes, but they can't go as a family. I mean, it's a terrible gap in our offering, particularly when you look where we are here. We're in a big residential area, lots of young families. Yeah. So I think this will open racing up to a new audience, and we've worked fairly hard here at attracting the next generation. I mean, the demographic in racing historically was getting older, worryingly so at some level, because there was no turn in that. It just every year the average age of racecourses was getting older, and I think all racecourses have seen this. and have worked to address it, and we've done a fair bit. We've done a fair bit here. Like we've the fastest growing membership in Leopardstown is our Club 30s, so that's for people under 30 years of age, and that's kind of looking after them from the time they get free admission up to 18.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from that to get them to 30 years of age, you know, we recognise that as very important. If we can hook people at that stage and keep them interested in the sport, well, hopefully you'd have them
going forward when they're older.
So, like, you know, we've had people working on that category membership, and that's the fastest growing. There's a lot of them now. So, you know, it's a big part of what we're trying to achieve is to you know, reduce the average age of the race goer by bringing younger people racing all the time, and it's working quite well.
Good. And kids will go free at Leopardstown here on Champions Weekend as well.
Everyone under 18 years of age, accompanied by an adult, comes in free.
Which is a great incentive for, like you said, parents to bring their kids.
Yeah, it is, but it's as it should be as well. It's as it should be. You know, it's a great incentive for parents to bring their children, and we'll have good facilities for them on Champions. We'll have good facilities for them on Champions Weekend as well when they come here. So it'll be a nice day out for all the family.
And looking forward to Champions Weekend. We start here on September the 14th, and the 15th, the following day, we'll go down to Kildare in the Curragh. Deirdre is a standout horse, has been the Japanese horse. Tell us a little bit about, did you have to do much to try and entice them to come here to Leopardstown, or is it just great prize money and a great track here that it's an easy decision for them?
I suppose when the Longines Champions Weekend was put together, the whole idea was to try and broaden the appeal, you know, of it, and get the best horses in the world to come to Leopardstown and to the Curragh over those 2 days. That was the whole idea about putting, you know, the 6 Group 1 races together, putting the Coleman Group Irish St. Leger, the last classic of the year, putting that into it, putting the whole on. So this is Ireland's weekend in the sun. This is the weekend that the world looks to Ireland, as they do for other festivals, as they do for, you know, for Ascot, for York, for the Breeders' Cup, for Dubai World Cup. You know, that's the way racing works, the pattern throughout the year. And we now have established these 2 days, but that's fine. But it's very important to get the best horses from overseas as well. So, you know, we've always attracted the best English horses, which is great. The Irish horses come here, which is fine. We weren't doing well at the French. Now we've succeeded in doing really well in that regard. 4 of the last 5 winners of the Prix de Jockey Club have run in the Irish Champion Stakes, and Almanzor won it in what was the best turf race of the year 3 years ago. So we've established it in France. We've done that bit, but you have to go beyond that.
Yeah.
And you know, Japan was a natural place to go. Japanese racing is really strong. They've great stallions. I suppose everyone talks about Deep Impact, who's a fine stallion, and we've seen, you know, Saxon Warrior and Study of Man. We've seen lots of his progeny run and win classics in Europe, and so it gives you a feeling of the strength of it. And they have a very good broodmare band in Japan. Racing's really exciting, very competitive there, but we don't get to see it very often. No. So it was on our radar that, you know, the thing was to try and get a Japanese horse to come. So we've been working at this for the last 5 years, and that involved working with the Japan Racing Association. Plenty of visits by them to us, plenty of visits by us to them, and talking to people, you know, telling about the Irish Champion Stakes. They all knew about the race, and then it's a question of the logistics of getting horses to come over. And this has been an objective of ours, to get a really good horse to come and run the Quipco Irish Champion Stakes. Been stated objective for many years, and it's happened now. We hit the bar 2 years ago. We were very unlucky. We thought we had one hooked. So all of a sudden we've Deirdre, we've a Japanese horse with an Irish name coming. It's extraordinary. Yeah. But the other thing is she's just proven by winning the Nassau Stakes. She's proven herself to be top class. Yeah. So this is as good as it gets in Japan. She's coming here. But the other interesting bit of this is that the Irish Champion Stakes is going to be shown live on Japanese television.
Fantastic.
So it'll be shown on the Green Channel, and as well as that, it'll be shown on terrestrial TV in Japan as well. So conservatively, we expect that 2 million people in Japan will be watching the Quipco Irish Champion Stakes on Saturday week. That is they're big numbers. So you're exposing the sport, the quality of the sport in Ireland, to a huge audience.
It's a great advertisement for the great job that Irish racing is doing, isn't it?
For the industry in Ireland, I mean, this industry, we're only the shop window, which is an important shop window, but I mean that goes all the way back to the guy that looks after the mare, brings the mare to the stallion, and it's all bits in between, every single bit in between that. That's everyone that works in that industry all the way along is dependent on the shop window. If the shop window isn't right, well then there's less demand for the yearlings, there's less demand for the stallions, the mares. It goes all the way back. So that's what Irish racecourses do very well. I mean, I think that we're fortunate. I mean, you've Punchestown, you've Galway, you've great tracks that are renowned internationally for what they do, and we all do things a bit differently.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it. Look at what Killarney have had a great year this year with their success, and that's a different thing as well. It's a different product hitting a different market and very successfully hitting its market. So we all have a role to play, and our role is to showcase the best that the industry in Ireland has to offer.
And with Deirdre coming over, what's your job in terms of to look after those, in terms of the horse, the staff? What do you have to do for a horse coming from Japan?
Well, you have to know what they want first of all. You have to know what their requirements are, and it's just a question of accommodating them. They're not that different. They're not that different from any other horse. In fact, Deirdre's really settled very, very well. She's been in Europe now since she ran an Ascot, where she didn't get her ground. The ground was very soft, and Japan races on very firm ground, so she'd be used to that. Didn't get her ground there, and didn't do herself justice. So she's been around Europe for 3 months now, and she's really settled well. I saw her in Newmarket myself the other day, and she's loving it. It's very different.
Yeah.
It's actually quite different. The environment they'd be in Japan would be very different to here, and she's loving it, and she's really thrived. She's doing well. So I mean, she'll come here, she'll get the same treatment as all the other horses. They're all looked after very, very well, and so that's fine. And then the owner will be here, the trainer, and then the grooms. So there's a party of them, and they'll all be here as well.
And of course, she'll be rode by an Irish jockey in Oisin Murphy, which is fantastic too.
Yeah, he's become quite a big name in Japan. I mean, he's ridden in Japan, and they know how good he is, and of course we all know how good he is. He rode Roaring Lion around here to win the race last year. He's a fine jockey and a great ambassador for our sport. So it's great to have it'll be great that Oisin will be riding him.
And on entry stages of that, Mad Moon, who has a very good record here, Kevin Prendergast's horse, Japan, Anthony Van Dyke, who won the Epsom Derby, of course Deirdre Romanised, who won an Irish Guineas for Ken Condon, Shane Foley, now ridden by Billy Lee, who won in France a few weeks ago. Crystal Ocean, horse was beaten by the fantastic Enable. So if they all turn up, it's going to be a very fascinating race.
Headman is in there as well. Roger Charlton's horse. Roger has won this race. He knows his way around. He knows how to get a horse home in Leopardstown, and he's been quietly doing his thing. And this is the race that he's been laid out for as well. Yeah, all the horses that you mentioned, but the Mad Moon would be a bit special. I mean, he was very impressive when he won here, when he won the KPMG juvenile race last year, the Group 2 race, and he's run really well this year, and you just sense that 10 furlongs might be his distance, and there will never be a more popular winner in Leopardstown if that Mad Moon, for Kevin. He's such a character of the sport, and all that, but it's a great race, no doubt. It's a great race. It'll be very competitive again this year.
And then we switched into Sunday at the Curr. Like you said, we have the St Ledger, the last classic of the year, and we have the Moygler Stud Stakes as well, which on entries looks a very good race, very strong entries in that as well.
It does, yeah. You've the Moygler and you've the
National
Stakes. You've the Goffs National Stakes, and the other interesting one is the Dernesdown Flying 5, which is now a Group 1 race. So you have 4 Group 1 races in the Curr on the Sunday, and the Derrinstown Flying Five, it becoming a Group 1 race last year was very significant, because that was probably a class that was missing. If you looked at we had a race for all horses over the 2 days.
You were missing that sprint.
Just having a Group 1 sprint, so that was just fantastic to get that. And those sprints are very appealing in all those big festivals. The sprint is always a central part of it, so that's a great addition for the festival.
And is there any update if Batash will take his chance and come to the Curragh?
I suspect that Batash won't come.
Okay.
Batash has plenty of races this year. I think the Prix d'Abbé will be the target, and maybe he needs a rest after York. After York, he's at a busy time, so we'd love him to come. He's owned by the sponsor of the race by Sheikh Hamdan, so it'd be nice. But but that's the one thing about it. Horses can only run so many times.
Exactly.
They all need a little break during the year, and unfortunately, his break might just come at the wrong time for us. But that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
If horses coming back from breaks, that will run here. So that's just the way of it.
And congratulations on your new appointment with the Curragh. Tell us a little bit about, you do unbelievable work, and you have done here since 2011. What now are you going to try and bring to the Curragh now to I'm not saying improve things, but what are you going to try and change?
Well, we've been lucky here in Leopardstown that a lot of the things that we've done have worked out, but I'm only just one person on a very big team, so it's all the team. It's a big team. I just happen to be the person that gets in front of the camera, but it's not me. You've got a huge team that actually do it, and Leopardstown has gone well. Similarly in the Curragh, there's a good team in the Curragh, and I think they've got some bad press since it reopened, and I think people shouldn't underestimate the challenge it is when you reopen a new venue. And if you go to Crow Park, when Crow Park was redeveloped, and your seat was L7, when it's rebuilt, you go back into L7 and the pitch is still 10 or 20 yards away from you.
Everything stays the same.
Yeah, that stays the same. Now you might be happy with where Lewes are, or you might be happy with food, or whatever it actually is. Racecourse is completely different, because you've got to anticipate people's movements. So we don't stay in the same place for long on race days. Most people, you keep moving around. So when people come, when you rebuild, there's always that issue as to how are people going to move, and will the facilities be in the right place. And that's no different to what the experience in Longchamp, that's no different to what the experience in Ascot, and there's no difference what the experience in Newmarket. So there are always going to be some teething problems in the Curragh, and it's a question of working through them. And we've made some changes already. What would I like to see? I would like to see that the people of Kildare, and wider the people of Ireland, would see the Curragh as their race course. That's what we've got to be, because that's what the Curragh always was for hundreds of years. It was where people went to see the best racehorses on the best surface, and that's what the Curragh is. So now there's a fine facility there, so the people should have better comfort when they go there. And I would just like to see that the people of Kildare, particularly the local area, that they would see it as their track, and they'd be very proud to put their chest out to say, I just love going to the Curragh. That's what I'd like to say.
And is it just a case of now trying to get more people in? Is that just the one problem? Not problem, but the one thing that you're trying to target?
We have to tweak it a bit, because I think some of the layouts wasn't wasn't ideal. There was plenty written about the issues done on Dubai Duty Free Irish Derby Day, and I think a good bit of that criticism was well deserved, because facilities didn't meet the expectations when people got there. We will have dealt with most of that, please God, for the Longchamp Irish Champions weekend on Saturday week. People will notice changes to what we've done, but we won't have tackled everything. There'll be work still to be done, and through the winter we will make additional changes. But I think people, they like what they'll see on Champions Weekend. But there's the point is, that if we get the facilities right and we have the product right, the people will come.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we concentrate too much on attendances, which isn't necessarily the right thing to do in the short term. Because if we want to get a lot of people in, there's ways of getting people in for a big day, but that doesn't necessarily tell you that you're on the right track. I mean, you're on the right track if you get people consistently coming to the meetings, and that'll only happen if you have the product right. So you need to get the product right, you need to get the word out that your product is right, and then the people will come. So, I mean, we're not looking for quick fixes here in terms of when the big crowds come to the world. That's just not going to happen. But it will happen in time if we make the right moves and we make the right decisions, and we listen to what people are telling us, the community, what they want. It's their race course at the end of the day, because the Curragh will only succeed, if we get the Irish race going there as they always did in the past. And I've absolutely no doubt, but they will again in the future.
No, definitely. It's seen as the best race course, one of the best race courses in Europe in terms of for horses. So now you have the stand to match it, so there's no reason that in time that everything should come together.
Yeah, it's a great race course. You're in another great race course today.
Oh, no, I know that.
But they're different race courses. I suppose the thing about the Curragh is it's the track it's a magnificent surface, and it's a very fair track. It's a wide track. There are very few excuses, very few excuses in the Curragh. I mean, when you get to when you come to Leopardstown, that last bend is so important. And if you're in the wrong position when you get to that last bend, it'll cost you a few lengths as you try to recover coming up the straight. There's no excuses in the Curragh. It's just a very fair track, and it's acknowledged that all over the world. And the funny thing is that no matter where you go in the world, the minute you get somewhere, they'll say, they establish you're Irish, and then they'll say, oh, if you're Irish, you must be into horses. They expect us to be into horses, most of us are. And then the next thing they'll say is, the Curragh, I've been to the Curragh, I know someone was in the Curragh, or whatever, particularly in the equine business, the Curragh has a reach all over the world. And that's something that we've got to capitalise on as well, because the reputation that it has all over the world is something which is important. In that earlier thing we were saying about the whole industry in Ireland, the significance of it. I mean, sometimes we take it for granted, but the employment that racing gives, so the thoroughbred industry gives in Ireland, is hugely significant, particularly given that it's in rural locations. So if you take any place where you have a stud farm, or any place that you have a training establishment, and just look at the employment that it creates. It's the direct employment. Then as the money goes into the local economy, where all the services that go into that farm, actually they're all bought locally, and then they support other parts of the community. So the life that gives to rural Ireland, and lots of times in foreign companies, and we've done really well in terms of attracting foreign direct investment to Ireland. But it's one of the problems with it is that a lot of the foreign businesses want to be in the big cities. But how are we going to hold people? How are we going to have jobs for the next generation in rural Ireland? And you go to places and you see places where unfortunately there isn't enough employment. This industry that we're in has the opportunity to create that kind of employment. So the value of it, they're very important jobs. A job is very important no matter where it's created, but a job in rural Ireland is more valuable than a job in Dublin for that reason, because it preserves the fabric of Ireland, the Ireland that we all know and love.
Before I let you go, Pat, Leopardstown here would be my favourite race course, not because it's...
Everyone says that when they're here.
Well, no, it is mine.
It's the same to all the race courses.
It's home. It's close to home in here in Dublin. I think it's very friendly for the race goer with the parade ring. It's an incredibly friendly for viewing, no matter where you are in the stand, and obviously national hunt wise especially, it's unbelievable what you cater for. And Dublin Racing Festival, I know we're in the flat season, we're looking forward to Champions Weekend, but just a quick word on what you have done with that. It's been a huge success, and you must be very proud of how it's gone for you.
Yeah, that was a good one. We just kind of, you're always looking to see where you might find an opportunity to do something, and it was fairly obvious at one level. You know, the starting point for this was we weren't over happy. You know, we were doing well with with three big dates. Between, say, the end of January and the second week of February, and they were all doing okay. But you know, we felt there was more in it, that we weren't squeezing as much out of it. And then we kind of looked at the calendar and we said, you know, is there a gap here? So if you take Christmas time, you've festivals. You've Kempton in England, you've Leopardstown, and then you've the Welsh National in Chepstow, and then you go from there. So those festivals are Christmas. The next time you hit a festival is in Cheltenham in March. So you've kind of the guts of 3 months with nothing within it. You've good races in between, but then you go on after that. So after Cheltenham, 2 weeks later you've Aintree. 2 weeks after that, depending where Easter is, you've got Fairyhouse, and 2 weeks after that again you've Punchestown. So you have 4 festivals in a 6 or 7 week period, and you've had nothing for the previous 3 months. So we're kind of saying there is a gap here, and all those festivals that I mentioned are all very well supported. So we kind of said, let's have a look at this, and we spoke to a number of people, and they said go for it. But we've done that, but it's once again, it's Leopardstown as a shop window. We've very strong national hunt racing in Ireland. The horses are here, the trainers are here, the jockeys are here, fan base is here, and there's great sponsors that have come in and rode in behind us. So you know, we're pushing an open door, but there's more in it. We haven't achieved our true potential with that yet. And the reason for that is it's just going to take a little bit of time to establish it. And I think next year we'll have most of our facilities will be redone. Certainly, I will have more to add. Everything materially will be done by the Dublin Racing Festival next February, and that's going to be very, very exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. The great thing for me next year is that I'll be a spectator. I won't be working there. That'll leave me better again, so I'll be able to watch the racing, have a pint, and talk rubbish with my friends.
That's good. Well, listen, Pat, thanks very much for taking the time. I know you're a very busy man with Champions Weekends right upon us, and now with your new appointment in the Curragh, and very best of luck with that.
Thank you very much indeed, David.